darlings, it's DarlingDTarot bringing you another pick-a-card reading. So for today, we are going to be getting right into this and asking the question, what are your best and worst qualities? So when I say worst qualities, I mean any character flaws that you might have that we can improve upon. Now, this doesn't have to be bad, just kind of use this reading as a tool to go forward and to morph your life kind of into what you want it to be. This will just kind of go over things that maybe people are annoyed about as well, like maybe you collect too many shoes, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but maybe it's just something that you do in excess, or it's something maybe that you're holding on to, like negative feelings or thoughts. So we're just going to go over that and also go over your wonderful traits, your beautiful, beautiful qualities that people really feel inspired by as well. So going right into this, we have 3 lovely piles here. We have stack 1, stack 2, and stack 3. Now stack 1 has this beautiful silver and light blue brooch. It's like this little pin. Stack 2 is also a pin, and it is kind of like vines. It's really, really pretty. I wish my my lighting would pick up on these enough, because, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. And then for pile 3, we have this beautiful little rhinestone pin as well. So you can choose based off of the items in front of the pile itself, the energy coming off of the pile, or the number that you feel drawn to. So let's take a moment to take a deep breath in. Let's hold it. And release. And with that, I will give you a few seconds to pick, and then I will see you at your pile. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 1. Let's get right into your reading and see what are your best and worst qualities. So starting off this reading with your first card, this is going to be your Angel Inspiration card, going over your overall best trait and quality. So we have number 24, Universal Heart, and this is so beautiful. This is a very, very lovely card to have. With the number 24, I think of abundance. I think of the number 6. I think that you are someone who is very compassionate and you want to share your abundance with people. You don't just want to hoard away all your riches or all of your happiness just to yourself. You're someone who understands that you have to give back to the community as well. You have to give back to the people you love, to your family and your friends. You're someone who perhaps you really, really enjoy gift giving for that reason. You're someone who thinks all year, oh my goodness, they really, really want this. And then you finally get it and you give it to them and you feel so accomplished and you feel so overjoyed. You could even really like the holiday seasons more for that aspect than opposed to what you will receive, because you're someone who has a very, very big heart. You're very, I know I keep saying compassionate, but that's what I think of. You understand that what you put in today is what you get out tomorrow. If you slack on watering plants today, then tomorrow they're going to kind of be a little less green. They're not going to be as alive as they were yesterday, But what you put in today is what you get out tomorrow, and you really understand that. You might be someone who is very resourceful, someone who recycles, someone who really likes kind of helping different causes as well. Maybe you volunteer and really help out everywhere that you can. Even if you don't volunteer, maybe you're someone who likes to donate because you are someone who is abundant. Whether that be time or money, you definitely do donate, whatever that might be. You also are like kind of a beacon of hope for a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of your friends as well. They see you as this very playful energy, because we have these 2 dolphins at the bottom. It's kind of like you're very balanced, but it's also saying that you can be very silly, you can be very playful, and you can almost be a little strange to people as well. But it's just part of your allure. People really love and appreciate that about you. They also really enjoy the fact that you can be mature in moments when you really need to be, but you can also act young and childish, when you are in kind of a more fun environment. You can utilize any of these energies at any given time for any type of person. If someone comes towards you and, is really needing a shoulder to cry on, you're someone who is going to say, okay, you can come over here, and spend time with me and tell me what's wrong and let me know. You're someone who's very open, and you're someone who is very resilient as well. You've been through your own hardships, but because of that, that has enlightened you, and that has sort of opened up your spirituality and made you a lot more spiritual of a person. I think that those have this card, and that pick this stack are definitely empaths. They're people who can feel other people's emotions, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, but I feel like a lot of you that did pick this pile, you're good at grounding yourself, and you're good at centering yourself and finding what it is that will bring you back to the kind of present and the reality of a situation. Because sometimes you can tend to be a little bit of a daydreamer as well. And that's not a bad quality at all, because a lot of people see you as someone who is very imaginative, someone who is very, very creative as well. A lot of people might be artists that chose this pile. But you're definitely someone who likes to express themselves. And you might even like to do DIY projects and stuff like that with just household items and things that you might throw away. How maybe school teachers make those egg carton caterpillars. Maybe you like doing stuff like that, not necessarily like egg carton caterpillars, but something along those lines. But you definitely want to give back to the earth as well. I think that you're someone who doesn't want to take more than they give back. So you're someone who probably plants a lot of, greenery, or maybe plants trees. Maybe when you go to the beach or when you go to a national forest or national park, you tend to spend the day picking up trash or, unwrapping things from trees. And I think that is so wonderful that you give back in that way. I feel like you also try to help people that are less fortunate than you as well, because you really understand what it's like to have gone through hardships. And you can put yourself into other people's shoes. You can put yourself into people's circumstances and really understand what they're going through, because you have that kind of empathetic energy. You're someone who can sort of almost look at them and know immediately what all they've been through without them even having to tell you. It's almost like an energy exchange, like you're downloading kind of a plug-in from them and you're like, whoa, what is this? But you can really understand what people are going through in that moment and in that situation. But because you are so beautifully spiritual as well, I feel like you are also really good at manifesting and bringing in the things that you want via the law of attraction. You're someone who strives at that. You might even be someone who finds really good results out of subliminals and binaurals. And because of that, you do have a lot of abundance and you have a lot of blessings that are coming into your life and a lot of things that you really are looking forward to or are going to be looking forward to. So going on to your next card, this is going to be your Secret of the Mystic Grove card, and this is going over your kind of not so good quality. So we have number 37, Serenity, compassion, acceptance, and contentment. So here's the deal here. You see Serenity and you're like, ooh, Serenity, that's such a beautiful card. Woohoo, why is that in the worst qualities category? And it's kind of like, I feel like you don't want to shake the boat, you don't want to make a mess, you don't want to rock the boat rather, but you don't want to make a mess, you don't want to cause a stir, you don't want to cause a big stink, so you just sort of keep everything bottled up. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I think that you accept the situation for how it is rather than to fight to change it or to manipulate it to your own gain, if you will, So you are someone definitely who relies on their own spiritual feelings as well. It's just sort of like, if you feel like you can't be involved in the situation, if you feel like you can't change the situation, you're not going to put yourself in it. It's like, that line from The Wedding Singer, I got punched in the nose for sticking my nose in other people's business. I think that's like, you're like, I'm not sticking my nose in other people's business because I don't want a broken nose. I'm completely fine. I'm fine. So with the number 37, if we're to add that up, that's 10. That's really coming back and saying, you are completely fine, closing out that cycle, being like, okay, that's fine. I'll start over anew somewhere else. Maybe your friend comes up and is like, oh, Becky, I never liked you. And you're just like, oh, okay, bye. And they're just really confused. oh, well, why aren't they really upset by that? Why isn't she crying? Why isn't she hurt? But it's because you're at peace and you're happy to just be by yourself at times. You don't have to have other people's approval. You don't have to have other people's acceptance either. And you're very compassionate to other people's plights as well. I know I keep bringing that up, but look, another compassion. It's really saying that, if people are saying that they want to leave, you'll be like, okay, I'll help you with your bags and I'll hold the door open. It's not necessarily saying you won't be sad, but you'll understand where they're coming from and you're going to want them to be happy as well. You don't want to keep people trapped in your energy just as you wouldn't want them to trap you in theirs, because that can be overwhelming. It can feel very crowding as well. So you're someone who just kind of accepts things for the way that they are. And especially with contentment here, it's kind of saying like, hey, I'm content with just kind of going along with how things are now and not worrying about changing things up drastically, It's kind of like you even pulling back into your intuition and into your spirituality and deciding, hey, I'm going to make a safe haven here. And if these people want to come back, then they can. But in the meantime, I'm going to also show compassion to myself and not get so involved in a situation. So, it's not necessarily a bad trait. I think that it's a very beautiful trait, but I think that other people see it as maybe a little strange or kind of that you give up very easily, not necessarily like in regards to work or anything like that, but maybe in regards to relationships as well. Maybe people have told you like, wow, you really didn't fight for me at all. And it's just sort of like, well, yeah, what was I supposed to do? Hold you back from your dreams, not let you accomplish the things that you wanted to in life? You look at things in a very different sort of way than most people do. You don't look at it from an ego-driven source. You look at it very much from your heart space. You look at it from your soul as well. You look at it as two souls respecting each other as well, enough to say, hey, you can go accomplish the things that you want. You can go do your own thing, and I'm going to do my own thing as well. So I think that, really just keep doing that. I think that's really wonderful. But I think that for some of you as well, maybe you're just happy with the way things are and you tend to shut yourself inside as well, if that makes sense. I feel like for some of you, you might be introverts and you might tend to kind of isolate yourself from other people. Remember not to do that. It's okay to accept situations the way that they are and not try to change things, but make sure that you're still interacting with people that really understand you and also want to make this big universal change and who will connect to you on a heart-to-heart level, because I feel like that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for like-minded people who are going to also understand this kind of selfless kind of a way of living. So moving on to your next two cards, these are going to be your animal totem cards. These are going over your energy overall. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is ladybug energy. I love it. Followed by the Two of Swords, which is sandpiper energy. So here's the deal. You're someone who can get right down to business when you've made up your mind and when you've came to a conclusion about it. Because we do have the Two of Swords here. And with the Two of Swords, representing the sandpiper energy as well, it's kind of like I'm sort of sensing the lyrics from Hamilton. I'm not standing still, I'm lying in wait. That's very much you. You're someone who waits to the right time and then they go towards their dreams. They go towards the things that they want to accomplish as well. You might even be kind of hesitant towards people, which is kind of why it's saying, hey, I'm just kind of going to accept a situation for how it is and not necessarily go forward and, make up a situation at this time. You're someone who likes to be very analytical as well as very spiritual based. So you might have one time where you look at things as a very spiritual person, and then the more that you sit down and really analyze the situation, you might just go into that kind of headspace. But it's not kind of that you're unbalanced and you're going over one or the other. You just want to make sure that you're always at the perfect time. I feel like time is a very big deal to you. Especially with the Wheel of Fortune here. I feel like you are someone who is always on time. You're someone who is, maybe even always a little early to things, and you find yourself waiting, maybe even waiting in line. But I think that that's really wonderful. You're someone who is very lucky as well. Even if you don't feel like it, even at times if you feel like, oh, I've only spent my whole life waiting for this. I've spent my whole life looking at things that I can't have, looking out on the horizon, just waiting. But this is really saying saying that you are someone lucky. You are someone who can bring in a lot, especially through the law of attraction, but especially your energy right now with Ladybug. This is really saying that you are someone who is going to have a lot of good fortune and good luck. And with good luck comes a lot of kind of relationship opportunities, good health, good fortune, anything that you really deem desirable or something that you would really want to bring into your life. Because people see you as someone who's very resourceful. People see you as someone who can get the job done, once and get it done really, really good. You're someone who people call first time around when they have a job that needs to be getting done. But you do like to, especially with this little bird energy, it's sort of like, how they run around on the beach and it's so scattered that they're just like, so I think that it's kind of, you might even be Pisces energy. I don't know why I'm getting that randomly, but, but I'm really feeling that that scattered kind of just running around excitable energy, and I feel like at times when you take on projects, it can be a little overwhelming. So especially in your energy field, it's not necessarily saying that you're being defensive, but you're being selective as to what situations you're putting yourself in and as to what people are entering your life and what people are staying in your life. So people might see you as someone who is a little indecisive at times, but someone who then can jump right in and get the job done. They might even see you as someone who is very abundant and very successful, someone who can kind of provide for themselves, someone who can put their own bread and butter on the table, someone who doesn't have to rely on other people as well. And they might even see you as someone who, even though times have been kind of hard, you've never given up. You've always gone forward. Even when you felt like you've wanted to, you're someone who pushed forward, and you're someone who always felt like, oh my goodness, I'm just making it by the skin of my teeth. Maybe you'll look in your bank account and you'll just have enough money for rent that day, or you'll just have enough money to buy a meal or something along those lines. You'll just be making it, but you'll feel so lucky. You'll feel so abundant and so wonderful, because we do have a lot of abundant energy here. So I'm definitely feeling like that for those who pick this pile, you are going to have a lot of abundance in your life. So it's really kind of saying to you to make sure that you focus in on your intuition to be able to make these decisions. Because not gonna lie, sometimes decision making is really, really hard, especially when people are asking you to do these different things, and you're signing on and you're saying, yeah, I can help you with that, or I can do this, and after a while you just sort of like, well, do I even have time for my own goals? Do I even have time for my own dreams at this point? And it's saying that you do. You have all the time in the world. Make sure to use that as affirmation as well. Say, I have all the time in the world. Don't stress about it. Be very, very calm, as well. I feel like it's easier said than done, psychics saying that you need to be calm, you need to be calm. But definitely just make sure that you are keeping a level head and staying very balanced during this time as well. So moving forward on to your next 3 cards, these are going to be your Witch's Tarot cards, going over some more really wonderful qualities about you. So starting off, we have the 5 of Swords, followed by the Emperor, and then the 9 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is a really, really awesome spread for wonderful qualities and traits. Let me just move the tripod a little bit. There we go. So the 5 of Swords really represents that you're someone who has been through a lot of trials and tribulations. You're someone who has been through a lot of lessons as well. You've had a lot of things that you've had to learn in this lifetime, whether that be a lot of maybe karmic relationships that you've had to kind of tie up and wrap up in this lifetime, or even if that's just different lessons that you signed on for, your soul to learn and to evolve from. This hasn't been the easiest walk in the park. This has been kind of a tough time. It's almost been feeling like you are this dragonfly and everything is against you. There's all these swords that are just coming in every direction towards you. And at times it's felt very overwhelming, but you've always kept your head above water. You've always been someone who has looked on the bright side. Even when you felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, you continued forward. And you're someone who kind of shares your stories with other people as well. I feel like if they're going through a really tough time, you might say, well, I really relate to this. I can really understand what you're going through because here's my situation and here's this, and this, and I think that you might really help other people. Other people really appreciate the fact that they can turn to you and they can talk to you about things that they probably can't talk to other people about. You just understand, you get it because you've been in that situation. And I think that that's why you try not to judge people as well, because you understand that sometimes people are a makeup of their foundation and of the situation that they're in as well, or their environment rather. So you really understand that. You understand that everyone has their lessons in life that they have to learn, and that everyone has, their own trials that they have to go through. But like I said, you came out like the emperor. You're coming out knowing that, you're very successful, knowing that you can have pretty much anything that it is that you want, anything that it is your heart desires. But you are someone who likes to feel comfortable. You like to have kind of familiar things surrounding you as well. Your friends and family are very, very close to you. I think that you're very much a family person. You're very, very attached to them. You love them, with every ounce of your being. And you're someone who is very, very loyal. I think that you would make a wonderful spouse, a wonderful partner, if you chose to be that way. Sometimes when I see the Emperor, I feel this energy of almost kind of being not necessarily like single dad energy. It could be, but it's kind of being like self-sufficient, not necessarily having to have a partner sitting beside you, because you are kind of like a one-man show in that kind of a standpoint. And this can be woman as well. Just because Emperor is here doesn't mean that this doesn't have to resonate with you, because this is just the energy of this card. But this is someone who very much is confident. They're strong. They're in their power. They're someone who, knows. I've been through hell and back. I've been through a lot of stuff, but that hasn't gotten me down. I've only risen to the top. I've only, made my strides longer. I've only, studied harder, but you've put in a lot of work. You've put in a lot of energy and love as well, since I do see a cup right there. I think of you put a lot of love into not only your hobbies, but also your career, because we have the Nine of Pentacles. You're someone who is very successful, whether or not you know it now, but people see you as someone who is very successful. They see you as someone who's very well educated, someone who is very good at their craft as well. I feel like you go above and beyond for work opportunities, and also for, if you're pursuing university, I think that that's something that you really will go above and beyond. Your professors probably very much love you because you're someone who gets the coursework done. There we go. And you're someone who doesn't necessarily worry about it. You feel very good in your own skin, and you aren't afraid to mess up, especially in front of other people. You aren't worried about it because you know that with that, you will learn another aspect of yourself. You will be able to grow and evolve yet again. And I think that, you might be the type of person who really does want to kind of settle down in the future, but for right now, you're really enjoying the single energy. It doesn't even have to be the single energy itself, but the idea of, ooh, I can eat this whole bag of Swedish fish myself, but you're really appreciating that, but that doesn't mean that you aren't a good provider as well, whether this be to actual children or animal children. I feel like you are a very good provider and a very good parent to whatever it is that you choose to parent. You're very nurturing, you're very caring, and I feel like you uplift people, and you also uplift animals. I feel like for some of you, you have a very spiritual connection with animals as well. For some of you, you might be into veterinary science. I'm also feeling like advocacy, maybe pediatrician for some of you. Things along those lines. I'm also feeling like counselor, maybe high school counselor even. But those kinds of careers might be something that you would really, really do well in. Some of you, like I was saying, you could be very artistic, and especially with the Nine of Pentacles, I see that as an art card. I see that as an artist, someone who, does really well at their craft, especially since she is a falconeer. She does something that a lot of people can't do. A lot of people don't have the time, the determination, or kind of the wits as well to be able to handle these birds, and the courage. I mean, they can be a little bit scary of birds, especially if you aren't someone who handles them regularly. So But this is someone who is very much in their power and they're confident and they're just oozing, sensuality as well. People see you as someone who is very well adjusted as well, I think, to adult life. I feel like that's so weird, but, I feel like some people just sort of looked at you, especially like in your teenage years and thought that you were someone who just immediately transitioned so well. And a lot of people might have even been jealous, but your side of things is a lot different. You're sort of like, yeah, no, I've had a lot of things go on in my life. I haven't had it the smoothest, even though I make it seem like I did. But you're definitely someone who grows, especially with all this green energy and all this, like, all these leaves and these flowers. Some of you might be gardeners. You might have a very good green thumb, and I think that that's a very admirable. I think that that's a very wonderful trait to have. So moving on to some of your less desirable qualities, we have the Emperor again. So not only is it one of your best qualities, but it's one of your worst as well. I love it, It's kind of like a double-edged sword, So moving on, we have the 8 of Cups, followed by the 10 of Wands, rather. Oh, geez. I just keep focusing on the 8 of Cups. I feel like you're someone who doesn't necessarily want to move on from past friends or relationships very easily. So you're someone who definitely can reconcile with people. You're someone who can forgive others very easily and bring them back into your life. But sometimes in the past, especially, it's not necessarily for the best. Sometimes it can bring a lot more struggle into your life than necessary. But it's because you like the comfortable, feeling of people. You like people to kind of come back into your life and pick up where you left off, especially with conversations. But sometimes it's not necessarily the best situations that we should be putting ourselves back in. Sometimes it's like we're putting ourselves back into this defensive energy. We're putting ourselves back into this fighting against people and having to defend ourselves against people as well, and maybe even defend our beliefs to people. And it's kind of like, it's okay to forgive people, but geez Louise, when they're coming in and being cruel, it's almost like you don't have the heart then to cut them out again. It's almost like you're like, okay, well, you can just stick here and I'll just kind of put up with it. And not necessarily saying that you're a pushover, because I don't get that feeling at all, because the Emperor especially is someone who's very strong. He's very, kind of hard-headed as well. So he doesn't, but that might be also it. Maybe you don't necessarily want to come forward and be like, yeah, I was kind of wrong in taking this person back into my life. That's only going to resonate for some of you, but it's just because you have such a big heart and you're so compassionate that you do want to give people a second chance or a third chance or a fifth chance or a 25th chance, but I think that after a while you have to put up boundaries and you have to say enough's enough. I'm not going to struggle like this anymore. And that also goes for work colleagues and also maybe university colleagues as well. If you find that you're helping other people or doing their workload for them, you really need to get out of that situation. Maybe your friends are even having you write all their notes for them. And while it's okay every now and again, it's okay to even help them. When it's causing you to really stress and causing you to lose sleep at night, causing you to take away time from your own studies and hobbies, then that's really something that is going to be bad. You can't stay in that energy forever. So you have to set up healthy boundaries with people and say, hey, look, I'm focusing on my own stuff, and everyone just sort of has to respect that for right now. But you are definitely someone who wants people from your past to be able to come back to you and feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I messed up, I'm sorry, because you want them to feel like there was always that open communication and that open connection. That's how you want to feel with everyone. You want to feel like, hey, you can come back to me and have a heart-to-heart. It won't necessarily mean that I'm going to bring you back full-time as well. I might not marry you, but I might bring you back into my life and humor you and things like that. But definitely, especially with this Emperor here, you might be a little stubborn. I think especially if in the past you might have kind of pushed your intuition to the side or your gut feelings to the side because you've really wanted to be with someone or you really wanted to kind of go towards something. Even if it was saying like, don't go towards this, it's bad news, it's not good. I feel like you were someone who just said, it's okay, and you just went full speed ahead and it it kind of backfired and ended up being too much, you know? So you definitely are someone who, I don't necessarily want to say that you bite off too much like than you can chew, or, you know, or more than you can chew, but you're definitely taking, you know, more on than you should. Definitely overwork yourself. And I think that it's wonderful that you want to have a hand in every pot and be able to kind of, you know, have a varied opportunity list, if you will. But I think that you really need to focus on a few things that are really near and dear to yourself, and not put up with all these extra wands having to weigh you down, because that really is a struggle. You know, it's kind of like, especially with having to protect your beliefs, if you have people in your life, you know, that try to rile you up, maybe you shouldn't talk to them as much anymore, you know. But for your worst qualities, I feel like maybe you might even be a little defensive to people. You know, if they don't necessarily like what you like at times, it can really upset you. You know, it might just be like a trigger, like a subconscious trigger even. You know, you don't even notice it. It's just something that comes on, and before you can even stop it, you're defending this thing, and people are like, whoa, calm down. And you're like, oh, geez, I didn't even realize I was getting this worked up. I'm sorry. Like, it's something that you don't even notice until it's a little too late. It might even feel a little frustrating at times, but you're someone who's very stubborn. I just feel like you're very stubborn, especially with your friends. So I think that that might just be the main problem here, is just to, you already are so open-minded, but I think also be open-minded to the idea of people not necessarily always approving of the things that you like, and maybe even kind of ridiculing it. You know, it's okay to just sort of nod and say, yeah, okay, and then just walk away. And it's okay to tell people, like, you know, no, I'm closing off my life to you. I like, not so harshly. You can still have people come back in your life and be your friend as well. But, you know, especially with this Eight of Cups, I see this as, you know, reconciliation. I see this as reunions. I see this as two people who had a past coming back together. You know, and since this is in bad qualities, I feel like maybe you tend to get back with people who aren't good for you, especially since you are kind of that empath vibe. Maybe you attract narcissists to you. You know, I feel like maybe this is a narcissist sort of an energy that you can't almost live without them. You know, they make you feel so good. They kind of deplete your energy as well, you know, in a way to where you're dependent on them. You know, you almost crave their next message and your next interaction with them. You know, not necessarily even in a healthy way, because we can feel that way towards the people that we love. But if it's in a very disturbed way, I think that it's very, you know, bad. It's very unhealthy. It's not something that's good or good for our energy fields. So I think that you are someone who's so compassionate and caring that you will bring people back into your life that don't necessarily have your best intentions at heart. So make sure to work on that. I know that it's a little uncomfortable to meet new people. I know that it's a little scary as well to get to know them, but just to open your heart up, and, you know, don't stay in this kind of closed off energy of the Emperor as well, because that's what I also feel for him, is he's someone who, you know, he just turns his head the other way. You know? Oh my goodness. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so remember how, look, she's even facing her head the other way. Remember how I said earlier that you don't like to, you know, rock the boat, and you don't like to cause a mess, you don't like to cause a scene and a commotion? Well, this is exactly that. This is saying you turn your head to these things. If there's a bad situation that's going on that's causing you stress, or, you know, a bad situation that's making you have sleepless nights, you turn your head to it. You know, you'd rather just leave it than to have to face it again and to have to deal with it. You know, maybe you're a very spiritual person that just sort of believes that the universe is going to take care of everything, you know, and that's not necessarily realistic. Sometimes in this life, you know, we do have free will. So while the universe can intervene and can help us a lot, it is also up to us to make a lot of these moves ourselves, and to make a lot of these decisions ourselves as well. Otherwise, we can just sort of be waiting forever. You know, and I feel like that's sort of the energy here, is make sure that you're focusing on these problems. Make sure that you're focusing on the things that you can really heal from, and the things that you can learn from as well. don't push them aside. Don't put them on the back burner. I feel like it's very important that you really look at the things that are bothering you or the things that are going on in your energy field and really deal with them. So moving forward, we have the Magician. So this is going to be your last card in this pile and also your overall energy. And this is a beautiful card to have. Oh my goodness. So the Magician is all about someone who can manifest anything it is that they want. They're someone who's very confident in themselves because they have all the resources that they could need. They're very witty. They're very well-read. They're well-versed in their craft. So just with their knowledge and in their intention as well, they can manifest anything. They can create anything to kind of come to form as well for them. So you're definitely this magician's energy of you can have anything that you'd like. You can manifest anything that you'd like as well because your intuition is very, very strong and so is your intention. So just make sure to kind of mush them together into a nice little batter, right? And then cook yourself up some nice little kind of abundance brownies, right? But you are someone who is very, very abundant and you're going to have a lot of wonderful things in life as long as you can sort of take care of the problems up front before they kind of pile up. You see how we have all of these wands? It's like if we ignore these problems for so long, it's just more and more and more and more wands are going to be piling against us. And we're just going to feel so overwhelmed and so overworked as well. So make sure to really kind of go towards your problems face forward, and, go towards them very determined and very passionately. I know I said face forward because look, everyone's looking away. Or look at this. Look, even in this card, everyone has their eyes closed. So it's kind of like at this last card, this guy has his eyes open. He looks so frustrated because he's just like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, even this sandpiper is looking to the side. Look at him. Let me focus. Look at him there. Honestly, so make sure to focus on your problems and to focus on the things that are really bothering you, and you'll be able to kind of close out any cycles that are really weighing you down and to be able to start a new one. So I hope that you enjoyed this stack one. I think that this was such a beautiful reading. You are such a wonderful person, and yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you did and a like. Also hit subscribe if you have not already. You can hit the little bell icon next to that. It'll give you notifications of every time that I post videos. Also I have all of my links in the description box down below. The link to my Etsy shop as well as my Patreon. I just got a Patreon. Woohoo! So you can go check out that link. Basically, I just have a lot of cool different tiers on there for different things that you can get back for what you donate, just sort of as a way to interact with you guys as well. But yeah, I can't wait to see you guys on there. You don't have to do that. But yeah, I thought that I'd mention that I have it now. And yeah, I hope to see you on my next pick-a-card reading. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 2. Let's get right into your reading and see what are your best and worst qualities. So starting off with your first card, this is going to be your Angel Inspiration card. This is going over just different qualities or traits that, are really, really beautiful about you. So starting us off, we have number 40, Courage. Okay, this is a really, really beautiful card because this is talking about how you are someone who's very, very brave. You're someone who's very courageous and you go after the things that you really want to pursue without hesitation. And I think that a lot of people are very much inspired by that. That really pushes other people to go towards their goals and towards their dreams as well, because people see your fearlessness. People see the fact that, you can push forward and you can be so strong. You can almost be kind of unwavering like a mountain. And people really, really love that about you. People appreciate that about you as well. You're very compassionate. You're very warm and open as well. I think that people really love your nurturing abilities because with these wings of this angel, it's almost like she's wrapping them around herself to where it's like she's achieving her goals, she's going out there, but she's also comforting herself at the same time. I think people also really appreciate that you're someone who takes care of themselves. You might be someone who really appreciates a good self-care day, We really can't take those for granted as well. But I think that a lot of people really appreciate that you go towards the things that you want first and foremost. You might be a people pleaser, or you might have been in the past, and maybe you've learned from that and realized, hey, I'm alive too. I need to start having fun as well. And I think that that's really why this card is here. You've kind of grown into this decision of it's nice to help other people. It's nice to inspire them to go towards their goals and even help achieve their goals. But I also have to make sure that I'm still achieving my goals as well. You're someone who is very goal oriented. I feel like, I know I keep saying that, but I just feel like you are the type of people who would have a bucket list. You're the type of people who would probably just make a list of all kinds of different activities that you'd wanted to try and places you want to go. You might be someone who is very well traveled, or you might want to be well traveled. You might be planning vacations in your head, just kind of manifesting them as well. But you're someone who is always on the go, or at least that's how it looks to other people. You always look kind of effortless as well in all of your endeavors. I think people look at you and they think, wow, they make it look so easy, and then they go and try to do it and it's not as easy. Like maybe you're someone who really likes physically demanding activities like rock climbing, or maybe you like going on long hikes, or maybe even just playing football or things like that, and it might be that some people look at you and you look so effortless and they're like, wow, they look like they're not even breaking a sweat out there. But someone else does it and they're like, they're sweating bullets, they're sweating a lot, like a sinner in church. And but you're so, I almost feel like I'm hearing flawless in my head, But people definitely look at you and they're inspired. They definitely have a lot of inspiration from you. I think that you're a leader, a natural born leader, and you're someone that has kind of come to earth as well to help people realize their goals and their inspirations. I think that even without you realizing it, you've helped a lot more people than you even know. Even just people looking at you and kind of deciding, okay, well, I'm going to continue another day more, because maybe they even know that you're someone who has been through a little bit of struggles in the past, which is why you have to stay so strong all the time. We also have a 4, and that's really all about balance. It's saying that you're someone who's very well balanced, but it's probably not always been the case. You've probably been someone in the past that has been through some struggles that has really made them have to break out of their shell and go forward. It's kind of like that old saying that if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling scared, then that's good, because you're trying something new. You're not keeping yourself stagnant. You're not keeping yourself stuck. And I think that that's very much your energy. The people that pick this energy, you might be a fire sign, because that's definitely the energy I'm getting, although it does not have to be. But it's definitely just that energy of pushing forward and achieving your goals no matter what. And I think that is so lovely. You are so driven, and so I think you're a really amazing worker as well. I think that the people who pick stack 2, you work really, really hard, but it's not to your detriment, because I think stack 1 was more, I'm going to work myself to the ground, and you're kind of coming into this reading saying, I'm a hard worker, I do amazing work, but I'm not going to sacrifice my health and sacrifice my well-being for this job either, because you understand that at the end of the day, jobs can be replaced, jobs can be something that are always changing or turning into something new. You could even make a hobby out of a career, because you are driven enough, you are a good business person. So you don't really worry about it. You would rather worry about taking care of your own mental stability than to kind of slave away for someone at a job, for someone who doesn't even care about you, for someone who doesn't even care if you're not getting enough rest or eating lunch or what have you. You need to be in a kind of an environment that's conductive to that, But you're definitely someone who has left a lot of bad situations as well. I think maybe you've had a lot of bad relationships in the past, so you've had the courage to be able to do these things on your own, and the courage to kind of be single. I know that sounds a little silly, but I think for a lot of people, especially if you've had kind of trying relationships in the past, it can be a little, not necessarily daunting, but, when you look at everyone with a relationship, all your friends with a relationship, sometimes you might think to yourself, hey, is it better to just be with someone that I'm somewhat happy with? You know what I'm saying? But you are coming in and you're saying, I'm not settling. Woohoo! I just wanted to put a woohoo in there because that's like the best thing ever. Don't ever settle. Go for someone who makes your heart sing, who makes your heart feel passionate, who, maybe they also like rock climbing. Maybe you guys are going to go on a rock climbing date. But I also do want to say that with this courage, that's what I was getting around to, is that you've probably taken yourself out of a lot of situations, regardless of if that meant I'm going to be single for Valentine's Day, or if it meant, I really love this person, but if I break up with them, they probably won't want to be my friend anymore, those types of things, but you've had the courage to make these tough calls and to make these tough decisions. And I also feel like you're not doing this selfishly. You're not just doing it for yourself. I think you're doing it for other people as well. You take into account the whole situation and then you act. But for the most part, if it's an environment that's not safe for you, I think that you usually leave. You don't keep yourself there. Because with the way that her head is up and her eyes are closed, it's almost this idea of someone putting their nose up to the world, like they're so high above everyone else in that sense. It's not necessarily saying that you're snooty or anything along those lines, but I definitely think that other people see you as kind of high class or something that is unattainable. You might even be someone who people think is kind of unapproachable or a little hard to get to know. Maybe you have a little bit of that mysterious element about you, but you're definitely well-grounded, and I think that is so wonderful. So moving forward on to this next card, this is going to be your Secret of the Mystic Grove card. This is basically your not so good quality. So going forward, we have number 5, authenticity, sovereignty, independence, and uniqueness. So here's the deal. Remember how I was talking about how you came off a little bit standoffish? And it's not necessarily that you're snooty, but it's very much that you're in your own energy and you're in your power. So a lot of people feel very intimidated. I think the fact that you are so unique as well, that it's kind of like you're an endangered species, that a lot of people don't know how to handle you. They don't know the proper care that goes into you, because I see this cactus here and I think of someone who's just been gifted a cactus and kind of looking at it and going, but I don't know how many times a week to water it. And it's kind of like you are such a complex being to so many people. You're so wise and you have so much to offer. I think just the world in general. You have so much information. I think that you're someone who likes to kind of learn about little facts here and there as well. So you have a lot to offer, but I think people are just genuinely kind of worried about approaching you at times because you are very independent. I think people are worried that you might shoot them down and say, no, I'm completely fine being alone, and it's not necessarily that you see it as being alone. It's just time that you have that can go towards your goals, times that can go towards maybe even practicing a new hobby or, even a new instrument. Maybe you're someone who wants to pursue a musical career, so I definitely feel like you kind of go your own way and do your own thing. I'm kind of hearing like stay in your own lane, like that sort of a thing. Like you might tell people like, you go do your thing, I'll stay over here and do mine, because you definitely also, I don't want to say that you rule with an iron fist, because you definitely don't. You're very compassionate and you're very caring as well, but you definitely have a way of doing things and you have a way that you like things being done as well. So it's not necessarily that people think you're high maintenance, but people definitely just don't know how to approach you or how to deal with the situation because you are one of a kind. Like I said, people just have never seen like your kind before. You're just so unique and so wonderful. You might be a little odd, I feel like people who do have that uniqueness, who are kind of born to stand out and born to lead, people can be kind of drawn to them, and whether that be for good reason or for bad reason, it's the fact that people are still admiring you, people are still appreciating you, and people are still really appreciating the fact that you can be so true to yourself. I think a lot of people are kind of jealous of the fact that you can kind of just be yourself and you can go out and wear whatever it is that you want. You might be the type of person who isn't worried about wearing pajamas to the store or something along those lines, because it's kind of like, hey, we all wear pajamas. We all have to wear them eventually. Like, it's not something that's completely outlandish and weird, but for some people it's kind of a strange concept. But you're definitely someone who likes to live life to the fullest and doesn't like to stress about the little things. things. And because of that, I think that you cut people out of your life. Not necessarily just like ka-ching, they're out and they're done, but I think that you're very straightforward and you tell people like, hey, if you overstep your boundaries with me, I'm going to probably cut you out of my life. I'm not going to cultivate you anymore. I'm going to cut off this little bud and repot it in a different pot and gift it to my friend Cheryl down the street. Like it's not even going to be my problem anymore. But you're definitely someone who is very, very strong-willed. I'm kind of getting like cat energy as well. You're someone who's very self-reliant and someone who can get the job done the first time without having to be asked again. And I really feel like some of you that picked this pile, you might be a very good gardener. Because this definitely is a very big plant vibe, but I feel like you're someone who allows yourself to grow, and you might water your own relationship with yourself prior to watering a relationship with someone else. And maybe other people that really throws them off and that really kind of irks them, because for some people that might seem very selfish. It might seem selfish to put yourself first and then worry about your friendships or your kind of romantic relationships afterwards. But you see it as, hey, I'm the one that's living in this body 24/7. If I'm seeing you twice a week for a date night and go to the drive-in movie theater, then yeah, you're going to come second and I'm going to come first. It's that very much strong-willed energy. So moving forward onto your animal totem card, this is basically going to be representing an energy that you kind of are, maybe even like an energy that you show to the world that other people pick up on. So we have the Knight of Wands, and this is ostrich energy. So basically we have this ostrich and he's bending down. He doesn't have his head in the sand, so he's obviously, not like hiding his head, not ready to go to bed or anything like that, but he's hiding. He's crouching down and he's hiding from any sort of prey animals that might be looking for him. But when the time comes, he's going to run off into the sunset and achieve his goals once more, because they are very fast creatures. They are very, they kind of just like zoom, they go from one place to the next. And that's very much your energy here, this very fiery, very passionate energy. And notice how we have wands again. That's definitely still fiery energy. But notice how it goes from fire to earth kind of an energy. So it's almost like when you do have these moments of, I don't want to say like self-destruction, but it's almost like you have your own little tower moments every now and again. And that's why we have this 5. It causes you to reevaluate what is authentic for yourself. And then you proceed forward, kind of in the right way. But I definitely feel like you are someone who can just run with the wind and just decide, okay, well, I'm going to go do this today. And, that's that. You might be kind of a spur of the moment person. You might call up your friends and say, hey, you want to go hike down this canyon today? And it's something so random, but I think people really appreciate that as well, because you are someone who likes to do things alone. So I think that a lot of people really appreciate it when you do include them in their plans. But with the ostrich energy, it's kind of like, yeah, you're very quick to go towards your goals. You're very quick to kind of do anything, to take kind of any action. But you also know when to lie in wait. You also know when to take your time and step away from the situation in order just to evaluate what's going on. You're someone who is very analytical as well, when you have time to be. When you have time that you can really rack your brain on a situation or on a person, I feel like you allow yourself to, and sometimes it can really kind of boggle your mind. You kind of don't understand people all that well. It's not necessarily like standoffish to the point of it being like swords energy, but I definitely feel like with wands, you're just more towards your goals than other people, and what's going on with them. And it's also like with their claws, ostriches are terrifying. If you were like with one and it was like mad at you, oh my goodness, because they can run fast, and those feet, you see those feet and those claws, they will rip you open like a bag of popcorn, like freshly made Orville Redenbacher right out of the microwave. They will get you, right? And that's really the energy here is you're kind of like, yeah, you can mess with me, but be warned that if you do mess with me, I'm not going to hold back. I will be very respectful. I'll be polite and I'll wait here while you say what you have to say to me. But, if you're going to be disrespectful, I can be just as, not necessarily disrespectful back because I don't see you as that type of a person, but I definitely see you as someone who takes into account how someone's treating you and then reacts accordingly to that. If someone's being very disrespectful and short with you, you might be the type of person who just kind of gets a little short and then just says, okay, you know what, then that's that. I'm not going to even entertain this. Bye. Click, hang up, that sort of a vibe. Just because that's a lot of heavy energies, that's a lot of negative energies as well, and you just don't want it. So moving on to your next pile, this is basically going to be going over some more really wonderful qualities and traits that you have. These are going to be your Witch's Tarot. So we have the Eight of Wands. Woohoo! The Tower. Oh my goodness. Remember how I said you kept having tower moments where you'd have to reinvent yourself? Maybe if things got really heavy or, if you feel like you're straying from yourself a little, you have moments where you rein yourself in. So I definitely think that's why the Tower is here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, and it's almost like you take a leap of faith towards, not necessarily towards these like fashion plates, but you definitely take like leap of faith towards, kind of your goals and your career and your hobbies as well. So the last card we have is the Three of Swords in reverse. I also drew clarification cards for that card. So we have the Ace of Swords and the Eight of Swords in reverse. Okay. I love it. Okay, so starting off with the Eight of Wands right here as the first card, this is basically saying that you are someone who is very, very determined. This card basically says full speed ahead. I guess if we could like label it as something, but it's someone having their eye on the prize and moving forward. They know which direction they're going. They know where they want to go, and it's sort of just a one foot after the other sort of a vibe. Hey, if you like that song, listen to that. Maybe that's confirmation for you if you've been hearing that song lately. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely just one thing after the next. You take everything, every day, each day, one day at a time, one thing at a time. But you do like to go towards the things that really make you excited. I feel like especially in the workplace, you're someone who is just like, okay, you go in the morning and you get all your work done. And I think for some of you that pick this pile, you might get your work done fairly early. You're someone who is so determined that you might even leave early some days, because it's just like, what else is there for you to do? Maybe even the same goes for university or for like testing days. But you're definitely someone who is very well studied and you've put in a lot of effort and you put in a lot of passion as well. So there's really no reason as to why you shouldn't thrive and why you shouldn't succeed here. So moving on to the Three of Swords in reverse, it's basically saying that yes, you've had a lot of heartbreaks in the past, but you're someone now who is going to be very truthful to people. You're not going to keep yourself stuck and bound in situations that aren't fulfilling to you and that don't have your best interest at heart, because you understand that that's a really horrible energy to be in, to feel so trapped and bound, especially to someone. It really stinks to be in a situation with someone where you feel literally bound to them, but this is all about you picking up this sword, cutting through your bindings and deciding, I'm never binding myself up ever again. And it's not necessarily saying that you won't ever be heartbroken again, you won't ever be hurt again, because I'm sure you will, I'm sure everyone will. But even just little things, like I was heartbroken one time, I had waited all day to get some ice cream and I dropped it on the ground, like little heartbreaks even. But you're definitely going to decide like, hey, I don't want to keep myself stuck here anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. So you're coming out of the heartbreak and you're someone who has definitely learned from it. I think that you might actually be a really good, I don't want to say like relationship counselor, but I think that your friends go to you for advice. I think your friends go to you kind of for your opinion as well. They might come up to you and be like, hey, what do you think of such and such? And what do you think of them doing this for me? And you might like come around and be like, I don't know, dude. Like, I think you're really straightforward. So you might say like, that's ridiculous. Like, I don't know about that, but you're very, You're very intuitive too. So I think if you see red flags, you immediately react to them. You immediately decide, okay, well, I'm just going to nip this in the bud and cut it out now. It's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off. In one foul swoop as well. You're not someone who's going to take their time and, especially when you realize that someone doesn't necessarily like you the same way or isn't being as kind to you. I think that it isn't like a situation where you'll keep yourself in for a long time. It's something that you're like, okay, bye. I know I keep saying that, but definitely, especially with this Ace of Swords, it's just this energy of getting clear. It's clarity. It's deciding, hey, this is what I want in a relationship. And I think that you're someone who has realized that all the past heartbreaks and all the past kind of trials as well has really helped you to decide what you want in a partner and what you want in a relationship as well. Because there might have been a time where you thought you knew what you wanted, right? And maybe you kept yourself bound to a relationship thinking, this is it. This is the big time. And it ended up not being, and it was just like wah wah wah. I mean, we've all been there, but you learn, and you're genuinely happy. You're like, thank you, universe, for not putting me into this situation, because sometimes when we're put into these situations, it's because we weren't supposed to be in them in the first place. So make sure that you aren't keeping yourself bound or tied up to people who really don't care, or don't care the fact that, maybe they're kind of ruining your sleep at night, like making you feel anxious and things along those lines. So make sure that you're really upfront as well. I feel like you already are, but I feel like even continuing to utilize that would be very, very wonderful. But you're definitely someone who just kind of likes to get things over with, especially if it's something that's been brewing for a long time, because you don't like the anxiety that comes along with it. I think that's really wonderful. I think it's really wonderful how transparent you are to other people as well. I think that when you get into relationships going forward with this Ace of Swords, you're going to know exactly what it is that you want, and you're going to be straightforward. You're going to say, hey, I want to just go on dates, or hey, I just want to get married, or I just want a sugar daddy. Like, literally, you can do whatever it is you want as long as you know what it is that you want. You know what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So definitely make sure not to keep yourself tied up. But already seeing your spread, I think that you aren't. I think that you're someone who's always looking for, like, I don't necessarily want to say the next bigger, better thing, but hey, why not? It sort of fits, But moving on to your next three cards, these are going to be your Ludi Less cards. These are going over different energies, that might not be so good about you. So moving forward, we have the Ace of Cups in reverse, the Nine of Cups in reverse, followed by the Death card. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm immediately being drawn to death, and that really makes me think of this uniqueness card that we originally pulled, this Oracle card, the Secrets of the Mystic Grove card. Because this is really also, even the Tower, this coming up with transformation. You're always transforming yourself. You're always pushing yourself to the next level. I think you're someone who's always pushing themselves to be better than they were the day prior as well, and sometimes it can be really, really harsh on you. I think sometimes you can really be way too hard on yourself, especially when it comes to your goals, or if something isn't as within your reach as you would like it. And especially when it comes to relationships, with this Ace of Cups in reverse, with the Nine of Cups in reverse, it makes me think like maybe you shut down things before they even start, because you're a little worried about the heartbreak happening again, because even though you've learned from it and you realize like, hey, I'm not going to allow myself to be in that situation again, I think that there's still a little bit of a worry of, well, what if I made the wrong decision and I accepted an offer or a cup of love from someone who, might not be the best again, but it's really saying that if we don't take the risks that are intended to be made and things like that, how are we ever going to go forward? How are we ever going to grow? How are we ever going to have new relationships with new people as well? Because not everyone is going to hurt you, especially with this 9 in reverse, it looks like a 6. It's almost like saying you can have so much abundance, you can have so much happiness, but you have to be willing to open yourself up to it. You have to be willing to kind of make the sacrifice. And I know that's really dark, but we have this man here, and it's kind of a card of be careful what you wish for. So I think that that's also like a feeling, a vibe that you get is, like, what if I wish for something that completely backfires? But definitely with this card, it's like he had to make this sacrifice in order to fulfill what it is that he wanted. Was it a big sacrifice? Yes. Was it something that he should have done? Probably not. But, it definitely got him to his goal. It got him to achieve, I guess, if he's turning into a vampire or like, ultimate vampire daddy, then, I guess that really helped him. But this is saying, like, if you don't open up, you don't give people the chance, and with the sacrifice sort of a thing, it's kind of saying if you don't put yourself out there and say, hey, you want to go on a date with me, then how will you ever know that people are interested? How will you ever move to the next level with someone? How will you ever have a really healthy, like, stable connection again? I also feel like for some of you, with the Ace of Cups in reverse, this is, again, you are very hard on yourself. And I think that you're someone who kind of causes yourself a lot of unneeded anxiety, if that makes sense, because you are someone who is so creative. You're someone who feels a lot. You're someone who, feels very, very deeply. And I think that especially other people's opinions about you sometimes can really hurt you. I think you might give this outside appearance of, oh, it really doesn't matter. I don't mind what other people think about me or what they have to say about me. Their opinion about me is not my problem. It's not my business or anything like that. But I think at the end of the day, when you really stop and sit and think, you might be the type of person who will kind of think about something that happened 5 years ago and cringe to yourself and go, oh my gosh, Rebecca, why'd you do that? But it's definitely like you're way too hard on yourself. You are such a beautiful person. Definitely make sure to take care of yourself. Take care, and take the leaps, especially since this is under the tower. I think that's really interesting. It's saying make sure to continue to take those leaps of faith and to continue kind of rebuilding your foundation until it is, what you want it to become, because the Knight of Cups in the upright is all about wishes fulfilled as well. So make sure that you're being really open to your wishes being fulfilled and granted by the universe and by those around you as well. Because I definitely see you as someone who's a hard worker, so you might even put love and relationships aside sometimes. So yeah, definitely try to make some more time for your friends and family too, is really what I'm getting. And don't hold on to things that really stress you out or really kind of weigh you down mentally, because I think people-wise and situationally, you're very good about cutting these situations out, but the emotional baggage that still remains from it is something that's very hard for you to cut away, if that makes sense. It's almost like you're left with this overwhelming amount of cups and you're looking around like, so what do I do with these cups? Do I take them to Goodwill? Like, do I donate them? Like, do I just put them in my cabinet and just periodically drink out of each one? But it's up to you to really kind of go through all of your own emotional baggage like a cup and to shine it up and to really kind of go over it meticulously and understand that if you can really learn from this circumstance, it won't repeat. The old saying is history repeats itself unless we learn. And I think that that's really the situation here. If you've learned from that past relationship or that past karmic relationship for some of you, I think that you're really going to not have to worry about that repeating again in the future. You're just not going to have to worry about that whatsoever. So moving on to your last card, this is going to be your overall energy card, and this is the Princess of Swords. So she represents ideas. She's someone who is very creative, someone who kind of likes to plan as well. So I definitely see that people see you as someone who is very meticulous. I don't know why I'm feeling like for some of you, you might be a very good, kind of like a flight attendant kind of vibes. I don't know, that's like so random, but I feel like, receptionist, those types of things, party planner, someone who is very, very good at planning, someone who looks at all the meticulous little details and can kind of rein it all in together as one thing. You might be someone who is very good at planning parties, very good at planning get-togethers. So this might even be saying, like, try to plan a get-together with your friends and family. Include them in your ideas and in your creative endeavors as well, because they can genuinely help you. They can also provide you with a lot of comfort and a lot of encouragement as well if you will allow them. But you definitely have a lot of amazing ideas with this Princess of Swords here. It's kind of like saying, as long as you're listening to your ideas, you're writing them down, and you're really utilizing them to the fullest to their extent, I think you're going to be very successful, you're going to be very lucky, and you're going to be feeling very, very happy as well. But make sure to work on how you treat yourself. Make sure to be a lot kinder to yourself. Give yourself that same love and compassion that you would give others as well. Because I know that while I said that you are someone who does do really good self-care, like maybe self-care routines, maybe you do a really good skincare routine or something along those lines, but I definitely feel like in your head, in your mental space, you might be a little harsh on yourself. So make sure to take that into account and really transform your thoughts on yourself and your opinions on yourself as well. So yeah, but I'm also feeling like if you're having an idea to go towards a certain hobby or a certain career even, make sure to go towards it. Make sure to pursue what you're really feeling drawn towards. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this stack too. Thank you so, so much. And make sure to leave a comment down below if you enjoyed and if this resonated. Also leave a like. If you have not already, hit subscribe. You can also hit the little bell icon next to that, and it'll notify you every time that I upload a new video. Also, all my links are in the description box down below. My Etsy link, PayPal. I also have a Patreon. Woohoo! So now you guys can go on there if you want and donate to that. I have different tiers on there, so you can decide what level you'd like to be, and then it has all kinds of cool little nifty gifts and stuff like that. Different monthly tarot readings and stuff along those lines. But thank you so, so much again, Stack 2, and I hope to see you in my next pick a card reading. Bye! Hello to everyone who picked stack 3. Let's get right into your reading and see what are your best and worst qualities. So starting with your first card, this is going to be your Angel Inspiration card. This is going over your best quality, and this is number 16, cooperate. So you are seen as someone who definitely can work in a team. You're someone who likes teamwork, and you're someone who cooperates very, very well with others. I'm just going to really quickly read you from the book so that I can give you the whole description. I really love this card and I love the description. So let me read this to you. It says, although society tends to focus on the individual, cooperation is what builds communities. A strong sense of cooperation builds a deeper sense of purpose. In times of crisis, people usually rally together, but forget this selfless cooperation when times revert back to normal. Your contribution to your family, community, and the world can help build bridges where once there was only division. By appreciating others' skills and abilities and encouraging collaboration, great things can truly be achieved. Look for the strengths in others, then join together to find solutions. So you're definitely someone who sees strength in numbers. You're definitely someone who, you realize that if you guys are trying to clean a room together or you guys are trying to get something accomplished, it's going to go that much faster when there's teamwork, when there's two people that are really chipping away at something. And you might really always be in this energy. You're always in this energy of helping other people. You always want to kind of put yourself in other people's shoes as well. I think your friends and family members and kind of you put yourself there and think, wow, they're really going through a lot. They have a lot on their plate. They have a lot that they're dealing with and a lot that's really stressing them out. So you really always want to help. And especially since it's number 16, if we were to add 1 and 6 together, that would equal 7. So it's almost like you come to this decision each time and you're like, should I help out? Should I help out? And then you end up doing it anyhow. Just because that's in your nature. You're someone who is very helpful. You want to feel helpful. So it's almost like you're always offering your service to others, whether that be your friends or your family members. I feel like you're always willing to be of service, especially with cooperation being number 16. If we were to add 1 and 6 together, that would equal 7. And it's almost like there is this crossroads that you get to, and you're like, should I help out or should I not? And usually it wins out that you always end up helping. Whether this be that people always call you when they're moving. I feel like for some of you that pick this pile, you might help a lot of people move, but I feel like you're always there for people when they need you. even if it's just for like a kind word or even for an opinion on a business matter. I think that people always try to turn to you because you're so open, you're so warm and so loving as well. We have all of these really beautiful energies. We have pink, white, light pink, purple, dark purple, a little bit of blue. So there's a lot going on here. They see you as someone who is very loving, who is very compassionate, who is very much in their heart center, who is very much feeling their heart chakra as well. They very much see you as someone who is very intuitive and can make very good decisions. I think not only for yourself, but for other people as well. You would be a very good, leader, like in the zombie apocalypse. Okay, that's probably random, but yeah, I feel like you could literally look after like a squad of people in the zombie apocalypse because you are such a good leader. You could make very, very well educated kind of decisions for the entire group, and that would take into account everyone's safety, everyone's security, and everyone's happiness. I don't think that you'd overlook one person. You would truly be the ideal leader, the ideal president, the ideal kind of a person. And I'm kind of being drawn to the fact that this heart, it almost looks like there's a crack in it from this little spiral that's coming down. And it could be that you've had a lot of heartbreak in your past. You've had a lot of heartaches in your life as well, whether this be romantic or even with friendships or just even family matters, but it's made you grow. It's made you had to kind of learn from these situations as well. But there's definitely so much that you utilize and you bring forward from these past lessons that you've learned. And I think that a lot of people really appreciate that you will bring that to light. Like, hey, I experienced something very, very similar to your situation that you're in right now. Here's what it was like. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. And you're very straightforward with everyone. And I think that they really appreciate that, even if it's something that they don't necessarily want to hear, or if it's kind of a touchy issue, you handle it in such a wonderful way that they can understand, and in a way that makes perfect sense to them, and in a way that makes perfect understanding, I guess, to a group as well. That wasn't English, but we're going to pretend it was. But yeah, you're definitely someone who is a very, very good team leader. So moving on to a not so good quality of yours, this is going to be your Secrets of the Mystic Grove card. We have number 24, Identity, and it says recognition, self-awareness, and examine. So right off the bat, with this card, I feel like you're someone who struggles a little bit with, kind of deciding where it is that you want to go in life, maybe who it is that you want to be, or who it is that you want to kind of grow into when you're a little older. I feel like we never finish growing. Even at 80 years old, you'll be like, oh, what am I going to be when I grow up? And you'll just be talking about yourself at 90, We're always growing, we're always evolving, and we're always learning. So make sure to take that into account. But this is definitely being self-aware of yourself, and really taking into account what it is that makes you happy. What hobbies do you really enjoy? What sort of work could you see yourself doing for the long run? And I know that that's something that's very stressful because, I was there. It's very kind of sad to have people say to you, what are you going to be? What are you going to be? And you're just kind of there like, I have literally no clue, but really recognize what it is that you're good at, what it is that you could see yourself doing day in and day out, something that won't bother you. It's not necessarily saying that this is going to be something that's stress-free or whatever, because that's not necessarily something that's going to happen. Nothing in life is stress-free. Especially things that are worth taking the risk. But I feel like for some of you as well, maybe in the past, not necessarily that you've imitated people, but I feel like you've taken on different looks, different fashions, different appearances as well, maybe from your closest friends or family, and you've kind of lost who you were. You took on maybe some of their likes, their dislikes, things like that, and it was sort of something that you really had to grow from, and you really had to realize oh, this is me. I like this, and this, and I really think that I could do this as a career, but really hold tight onto the things that you love and the things that really make sense to you, because look here, in this pendant, we have the rabbit that she's holding, and we also have another lady, and it looks like her but without the mask. It looks like her younger. So it's almost like she's looking back at herself, and she's like, wow, was I being honest then? Am I being honest now? It's sort of like a reevaluation and deciding who you are. Step into your abundance as well, with number 24 being kind of like 6, make sure that with the number 6, you are recognizing that you deserve abundance. Don't stray away from the recognition. Don't stray away from people kind of wishing you good luck, and people, kind of doting on you as well. Don't stray away from that, because I think that that's a really big part of your identity. You might be someone who would really thrive being a counselor or a therapist, or just even something like along those lines, someone that people can go to talk about their feelings, and especially if they've had a really rough day. You might even do really good in a career that works like as a big team, maybe even like a wildlife rehabber at a rehabilitation facility. But I think things like that would really be wonderful and be very beautiful for you as a career. But make sure to take the time, especially over this next year, maybe even decide to yourself, I'm going to take the next year to decide who it is that I am, and to figure out who it is that I want to become as well. It's not necessarily that you're morphing into the person you want to become, but it's that you're transitioning into the person that you've always felt you've been, and the person that you feel comfortable being. You know what I mean? The person that you are inside, that you're now ready to show the world. Because it's not necessarily saying that you're a little shy to show the world who you truly are, but I think that you do put on a little bit of a mask to the public, to people that don't know you as well as your friends and family, and that's just sort of to protect yourself as well. Because I think that you are someone who is a little vulnerable. You are someone who is kind of sensitive. And that is so beautiful, but I think a lot of people can really prey on that and really use that to their advantage as well. So it's really up to you to understand what your triggers are too, different things that might really bother you, so that you can kind of focus on them and start working on them, so that other people can't find them out and use them against you, I guess, if that makes sense. But definitely make sure to maybe utilize the next year as just time to figure out who it is that you are. This isn't necessarily saying like, I don't know who I am. Like you have amnesia and you forgot the last 24 years of your life, no, it's not like that. But it's definitely saying like, hey, you just need a little bit more time. It's not a race. It's not a rush to figure out what it is that you want to do for career, especially if it's something that you're going to be doing for like the rest of your life. You have the rest of your life to find this out. But in the meantime, make sure to make it a priority that you are trying to find out who it is in this lifetime that you are. So moving forward on to your animal totem card, this is basically going to be your overall energy. And we have the Ace of Swords. This is panda energy. This is one of my favorite cards. I love it because pandas are very meticulous. They take their time. This might be kind of an energy of you kind of taking a while to get ready. That's sort of an energy. That's how I relate to panda, is I take a little while to get ready and to leave the house. But you're definitely someone who really appreciates the truth and appreciates having clarity. You're someone who is very analytical and likes looking at things almost like with a very scientific mind. You see how she's like really analyzing that locket? I feel like that's you. You really take time to ruminate on situation and really try to understand what's going on. You really take your time to understand and to gain that clarity, whether that be with people, with relationships and connections, or whether that be in just situationally. You like to take your time and to mull over a situation that you're in. You also really like to kind of just take your time. You really are a laid back energy, I guess you could say. You're someone who goes with the flow. You're not someone who is in a rush all the time. You're someone who likes to pursue their passions, but you're very upfront with people. Maybe you'll say to people like, hey, I'm not really up to doing that, but maybe later or something along those lines. But you definitely come at people with a very clear, very level-headed attitude as well. And people really appreciate that. People really appreciate that on projects you take your time, that it's not just you rushing to get things done. You really sit down and you're meticulous with what you do. I think that is so, so beautiful. So definitely continue to have that beautiful panda energy, because when we do take our time, things come out very perfect. Things come out the way that we want them to. And it might have taken a little bit more time than we have expected, but the payoff is that much greater. So moving on to your next few cards. These are actually we have 4 cards here. Woohoo! I was normally pulling 3, but I grabbed 4. So these are going to be your Witch's Tarot, going over some more wondrous qualities about you. So starting off, we have the Nine of Swords, the Shadow side, which is the Devil traditionally. And you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, Darling D, how are these great things? Well, I will tell you in a minute. The King of Wands, followed by then the Five of Wands in reverse. Okay, so here's the deal here. With the Nine of Swords, with the shadow side, so the Nine of Swords is basically about, remember how I said that you're someone who really likes to mull over a situation, and you like to be very analytical and almost scientific about it? You like to put it under a telescope and really look at it? That's the Nine of Swords. You know, you're someone who, yeah, you can keep yourself up at night, whether this be studying or really thinking about a situation, but you can really put yourself into your head. And, while this looks like a really negative card, for me in this section, this is really just saying that you're someone who takes their time. You're someone who, I don't really want to say that you trap yourself to these thoughts, but I feel like if there is a situation going on, you're going to keep yourself there until you have it figured out, until you understand what is right. Even if you're 1 foot out, 1 foot in, you're half in the door, half out, you're still wanting to have clarity. You're still wanting to have closure, especially on relationships and things like that. So you really, really mull over things in your head and use your intuition a lot, especially when it comes to heavier energies or heavier situations. Because I feel like, you have had people in the past that have kind of shocked you. Maybe you've had realizations about them. This might even be family members that you've had realizations about it's been kind of shocking and it's been kind of hurtful. But you're someone who you really trust your intuition now when you receive red flags. And it's because of these situations. You're someone who also, because you've spent so much time thinking about these situations and going over them in your head time and time and time again, you're really kind of not only re-stressing yourself out with this shadow side energy, because it's kind of this energy of but I feel like you're learning the lesson really good. I know that it doesn't look that way with these scary cards, but I feel like you're really going to come out of it with this King of Wands. You're going to be feeling on top. You're confident then because you know what to go towards. It's almost like after you take the time to really look at the situation for how it is and to really think things through, then you feel confident enough to go forward. Then you don't feel like there's going to be chaos. You're also someone who doesn't want there to be chaos. You don't want there to be drama. And I feel like you also are someone who takes care to not have bad behaviors yourself, and takes care, to really keep yourself in check. Because especially with these cards, with the shadow side and the Five of Wands, I think that you're someone who, if you notice that you're behaving wrong, or maybe you're in a little bit of a foul mood, you'll pull yourself away from other people. You're not going to project that onto other people or bring that into other situations. And I think that is so wonderful. You know how to pull yourself out and deal with it on your own, if that makes sense. And especially without bringing other people in, because with cooperation, I feel like other people come to you with their problems and come to you and say, hey, I need help solving this. But with the Nine of Swords, it's you saying yeah, I'll help you with my problems, but I'm having a problem, so I'm just going to lock myself up in this dungeon for a while, or in the highest tower, and then I'll be back down in 20 days or something, But this is really just saying that you can seclude yourself in order to gain clarity and in order to kind of feel in your power again. And that is so awesome. It's almost like when you do have these moments where your battery is running out too, you have moments of self-care where you go inward. Maybe you watch TV on the couch and eat Netflix. You watch Netflix and eat food, eat a lot of snacks, maybe have some little cakes and things like that, and really just relax. I feel like this is all just about pulling back and retreating into your own self. I feel like this isn't going to be for a lot of you, but I feel like for some of you, you might have quit some really addictive kind of behaviors as well. Maybe for some of you, it's cigarettes. For some, it's alcohol or drugs. Maybe even gambling or something to that aspect. But I just want to say congratulations, and I am so, so, so proud of you. Oh my goodness. And I feel like maybe not a lot of people give you that recognition that you need, but I'm giving you it right now. I'm so proud of you, because especially with this King of Wands is saying, hey, you feel so good. You feel like you can go anywhere, you feel confident. You feel like, hey, I am royalty. I can go towards my goals and I can accomplish them the first time around. I don't even have to worry about it. So you're definitely someone who's very passionate and you're very fiery as well. You're very warm. I feel like people really like your sense of humor too. For the majority of people that picked up this pile, you're very sarcastic. And I think a lot of people really appreciate that, but for the most part, you like to just kind of go inward and you like to rely on yourself unless you're helping others, and you're always there for your friends, but I think that you really need time for yourself. And I think that your friends really appreciate that and know that as well. They respect and honor that for you. Because they know that you aren't someone who likes drama. You will detach yourself from a situation, and kind of worry yourself sick over it, So I definitely think that for you, life should be very easygoing. It should be kind of just go with the flow and go towards your passions. I feel like, especially with this King of Wands here, you might be very well traveled. You might want to travel. You might want to also learn about different cultures and different experiences too. So go towards those things. Go towards your goals as well. You might be someone who really wants to pursue some new hobbies or even turn your hobby/artistic talents into a career. I think that you could definitely do this. I think that you can do anything that you put your mind to because you are so strong-willed. You are such a strong character as well. And I think that is so wonderful. So yeah, but you definitely don't want energies to be running high. You want everyone to just kind of get along. And it's interesting because we have that cooperate card and then we have the Five of Wands in reverse. So it's like, can everyone just get along? Because it's like in the upright, everyone's fighting on top of dragons, but in the reverse, it's just sort of like you're coming in with this energy of, do you guys just need a hug? Should we hug it out? Are we doing good here? And, I think a lot of people might not really understand that as well, but I think that you handle situations so beautifully and you're really good with people. I think you're a really awesome people person. Even if you don't necessarily see yourself as that, I think that people see you as that, So moving on to your next three cards, these are going to be your Ludi Lescott cards going over your not so good qualities. So we have the Queen of Swords, the Six of Cups, and the Star. Okay. And oh my goodness, these are such good cards. But so right off the bat, I feel like you keep yourself, remember how I said that you stress yourself out, not necessarily for no reason, because there always is a reason why you get a little stressed. But it's almost like you anticipate that a storm's coming. You're always just sort of sitting at the edge of your seat or the edge of your chair and going, is there something on the horizon? Is there something coming towards me? It's almost like this constant dread, in a sense. And you might not even know what that is. I feel like maybe even for some of you, you're battling depression, and I'm so sorry. I know that is really, really hard. You can always write to me. My comment section is always open, as well as my emails. Feel free to always message me. I am here for you. I am your friend. Always, always, always. But definitely take everything one day at a time. Take everything 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. That is my biggest advice for you with this card. Breathe. If you're feeling overwhelmed in a situation, look around the room and find 5 items that you can identify. If you can find 5 things and name them, and then when you're done with them, name another 5 things, but keep looking around the room and pinpointing these new things until you kind of bring yourself back into the present moment, but you are definitely someone who is kind of anxious, is kind of like what's around the river bend, if you will. And I think especially with people, if people have walked out of your life, you're someone who, it's not necessarily saying that you are pessimistic or anything along those lines, but it's definitely saying that even though you are abundant, even though you have so many blessings, when someone does leave your life, especially unexpectedly, it's really shocking and really surprising to you, and it's something that you can't really get over. Because we have her, she's kind of toppled over here crying over that spilled cup, and it's kind of like you're stuck there. You just can't help but to feel so helpless and so distraught over the fact that this person is leaving as well. And even if it wasn't like the most savory of a person, I think that it still really upsets you because you really do appreciate the time that you give to people. You really do appreciate the memories that you share with people as well. And you always want to see the good in people. You always want to see people, in a better light than what they actually are as well. And I think that is so beautiful. I think that's so wonderful because you're someone who is naturally hopeful. But I think that sometimes you give yourself hope in the wrong places, if that makes sense. Like maybe you're waiting on someone to return, but maybe it's someone that shouldn't be in your life to begin with. Maybe it's someone that wouldn't treat you right if you guys were married. Maybe it's someone who would put all their needs first before yours. And with this card, it's kind of like you ignoring the red flags and saying like, hey, this person is a genuinely good person. Like, I believe they're a good person. I know that they're a good person, and it's more of a feeling. And I think that that's still something that you should utilize. I think that's so wonderful. But when someone shows you their true colors, you need to believe them. And when someone tells you who they truly are, trust that. Trust what people are telling you the first time. If someone comes up to you and says, hey, I don't want a relationship, but you keep going out with Stanley thinking that things are going to change the next time around, like, I don't know. I think that you are just kind of putting yourself into these really anxious situations or anxious opportunities. Or maybe even thinking like, ooh, are they going to message me today? Are they going to contact me? And I think that that's really giving yourself hope where there shouldn't be. Not necessarily saying that there shouldn't be hope. That's really harsh and really like sad, but this is just saying to put your hope towards things that will actually come to fruition or something that will actually be of good use for you. So maybe put that towards yourself. Like I said, use all that love towards yourself. Treat yourself as you would a small child or an animal or even that person that walked away. It can be very hard, especially since it's a 5, with the 5 of Cups here. It's kind of like, there's this really big change and it's so shocking and it's something that we have to learn to get used to. And maybe for you, it's something that you don't necessarily want to get used to. You don't want to get used to the fact that this person left your life, or maybe they didn't even want to take your cup. Maybe this is someone who, didn't necessarily want to date you. It could even be that maybe you're a heartbreaker. Maybe you're someone who, when you get into a relationship, you upfront know right away, like, uh-oh, I think I'm probably going to leave this person. And it's like, pretty upfront within like a few months if you're going to be with this person long term or not, and whether it's a long time kind of a commitment. But I really feel like it really does upset you. You're someone who's very sensitive and someone who definitely feels their emotions very deeply. You're very compassionate to how you treat other people. So I think that you can understand why people leave, but at the same time, you're like, what? But like I said, with this, make sure that you're trusting your intuition as well. With the fact that, if someone does kind of come at you with those red flags, because I think that you do realize them, you do kind of understand like, okay, this is a red flag, this is a red flag, this was kind of bad, that wasn't good that they did this, but in a way, it's still like you still kind of hype them up and you still kind of give them the benefit of the doubt in your head and in your heart. And I think that that's truly wonderful. I think that it's a wonderful energy to be able to wish them well and to wish them love and to send them loving energy. But unless you're really going to be talking to this person and, you are really involved with them right now, spend the time right this second just focusing on you. It's okay to still love this person or to still hope that there is going to be a future with this person. But for right now, take all the energy that you might be putting towards them and put it towards you. Put it towards your career and the things that you really enjoy and you really love. I know that might be kind of a heavy energy and this is supposed to be a fun reading, but this is also just so that you can take into account these different energies, and so that you can really kind of grow from this as well. But I really feel like you need to be a lot kinder with yourself, a lot gentler as well. You know, because especially for someone like you, I think that you're someone who's very creative. Like I said, you might be a painter or maybe even an artist of some sort that has made a kind of a career off of their hobby. And, you know, it's kind of like you're a very hopeful person just from the get-go. You know, you want to believe in fairy tales and you want to believe in happy endings and all of this stuff. But you're also, I think, kind of looking at things through rose-tinted glasses to some extent. You know, it's like you're hyping up like, oh my gosh, something might happen. I'm feeling really anxious, really scared. And, you know, but then it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's kind of okay. You know, so let yourself kind of pull away from these heavier energies and these heavier situations, especially when it comes to people that have left or people who time and time again show you that, you know, they don't necessarily have you in their heart. So yeah, moving on to your last card, this is going to be your overall energy and just you overall. We have the Eight of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, I love it. So remember how I said that you might be an artist or, you know, something along those lines? The Eight of Pentacles, you know, in this deck especially really represents craftsmanship. It represents kind of really focusing on your goals and focusing on what it is that you're good at. If we see this woman, she's pruning this shrub. There we go. You know, and she's really perfecting each and every one until they're all beautiful, until they're all perfect. You know, and that's something that she spent a lot of time doing. It's something that she has, you know, done for so long that it's almost second nature to her. And I feel like that's something that you guys have. You know, maybe you guys are musicians, maybe you play an instrument or you sing, but there's definitely something that you've put a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and a lot of time into. You know, you like to perfect things. You like to hone your skills in as well. You're very crafty, and I think you're also very, very resilient. But you're someone who also knows that you reap what you sow, and what you put in is really what you get out as well. So I think that with this card, this is really talking about, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of abundance wherever I want to put it. But maybe at times you also struggle with trying to figure out where it is that you want to go or where it is that you want to pursue, which is kind of why we also have this identity card. It's kind of like, what am I going to be doing today? You know, something along those lines. So with the Eight of Pentacles, it's really saying to focus on your crafts, focus on the things that you find yourself really, really good at and really thriving at. You can make a lot of money at this, especially since it's Pentacles. So if you've been thinking about utilizing, you know, a craft or a hobby into a career, I can't stress that enough in this reading. You know, I think that you guys are really destined to make that a career, you know, and to have kind of a stress-free life. I feel like you need to have a lot more of this panda energy going on for sure. But yeah, that was your reading stack 3. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed and I hope it resonated. Make sure to leave a comment down below if it did, and also a like. Also hit subscribe if you have not already, and hit the little bell notification so you can be notified each time that I upload. That way you won't miss a pick a card reading. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed. Also, all my links are in my description box down below. My Etsy link along with my PayPal, and I also have a Patreon now. Woohoo! So that's really good news. So it's just a really fun way to interact with you guys. I have all kinds of different tier levels. So you know, whatever it is that you want to kind of contribute on there, you don't even have to. But I thought that that would be a really fun way to interact with you guys and to be able to give you guys monthly readings and stuff like that privately. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this reading, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!